That was the first encounter with Deborah. This was back in 2013, May. She did a full intake for Maya, and we were focusing on the PCOS mainly. So she did work on that, and with the first remedy, the PCOS was gone. In 2 months or 3 months, we did another ultrasound scan, and there were no more cysts. The gynecologist was just amazed. How did that happen? In the first day she took it, she felt, Dad, I feel more calm, clear. And she can talk now. So she's talking like this, and she's telling me, I feel more calm, clear. I can make better choices and all.
So what's the $6 million question?
Yeah, the $6 million question. Now that we understand this, I hope.
Yeah.
Is, do you...
So you would think that after 4.5 years of hosting this podcast and over 430 episodes that I have probably heard everything homeopathy related, right? You'd be wrong, because I recently had a friend of mine reach out and tell me about a lady that she met whose dad wrote a book about her sister's healing with homeopathy using pocket or room or pillow dosing. And I immediately had to find out who this person was. And just a couple of weeks later, I am so delighted to say that today we have Vivek Pathela on the podcast. He is the author of the book Healing Her Light. So Healing Her Light is the story of a father's unwavering journey to heal his daughter, Maya, who endured 31 years of vaccine and drug injuries. Maya was born in 1992 and faced autism, OCD, Tourette's, and PCOS, which was worsened by toddler vaccines and drugs from age 16, leading to a 65-pound weight gain and tardive dyskinesia. After 12 years of homeopathy with Deborah Olenev, using cease therapy, seed cycling, CBT, ERP, and DBT, Maya achieved a 2025 breakthrough. Regular periods, 44-pound weight loss, and significant OCD relief though the TD tics are still persisting. Part 1 of the book chronicles this decades-long struggle and holistic recovery. Part 2 exposes pharmaceutical harms, critiques NCVIA barriers, and rallies for reform with Care to Heal and Children's Health Defense, including guides for treating acute conditions and pets with homeopathy. It was also really great having a chat with Vivek today, because since the book was released only a few months ago, they have been making some more breakthroughs, and he will be sharing that with us today. Now, next week, we are hoping to have Deborah Olenev on the podcast. Now, I am recording this intro all in advance. Deborah's episode is booked, so hopefully it'll all go ahead and all be fine. But we are hoping to have a chat with Deborah Olenev as well to hear her side of the story. Now, you can purchase the book Healing Her Light through Amazon. I encourage you to check the show notes of this episode, where you will find the links on where to purchase this, as well as donating to Vivek's charity that he has set up, and the details for their social media as well. I hope you'll enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout podcast, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now our mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello homies, and welcome back to Homeopathy Hangout, where today I have a very special guest, Vivek Pathela in Hawaii. I think you're my first Hawaiian guest. Welcome to the podcast, Vivek.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Eugenie. It's so nice to see you, and thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast and allowing me to share my story with your beautiful community.
It's such a pleasure. I just quickly want to give a shout out to my friend Amy Maloney, or I should say our mutual friend or contact. I've known Amy for many years, and a few months ago she sent me a message and she said, I've met this person down in Denmark, and her dad's written a book about her sister, his daughter's recovery from autism using homeopathy. But they don't physically give the remedy, they just leave the remedy in the room. And I'm like, what? Who is this person? And I went and bought your book straight away, Healing Her Light, A Parent's Guide to Reclaim Their Children's Health and Inspire Change. So I read it on New Year's Day this year, all in one go, and it is really, truly inspiring. So Vivek, I would love if you can start us off with sharing Maya's story, but also can you just share with your listeners if Maya is okay with us sharing her story?
Oh yes, Maya is very happy that she's able to share her story. That's why I wrote the book, actually. She wanted really to help others. So I'm so grateful. Sorry, I get emotional. Talk about her.
Yeah, of course. On any of our listeners on Rumble or YouTube, you can see some beautiful photos of Maya every now and again cycling through on the digital photo frame you've got behind you. I really love that.
Yes, we have some here. So you can see Maya there and how she's doing now. It's all her more recent photos and a lot of good family photos too.
Can you share with us, I mean, everything is in the book, but just give us a little bit of a background on Maya, who she is and her journey.
Yes. Yeah, so my book, Healing Our Light, I got it out in August last year, and it chronicles Maya's 32 years of darkness, actually. From the times, the delays she had with verbal and learning abilities, autism, tics, anxiety, and PCOS, all that were, I would say, triggered, maybe worsened with childhood vaccines. Then she got buried deeper by hormonal and psychiatric drugs that worsened her condition over the years since her teenage years, when we had to start prescribing that, not knowing anything better. But from there, she got, what triggered was a severe OCD that came first with the hormonal drug. It got triggered like in a month or two after starting it. And she only took it for a couple months and stopped that. But with severe OCD, then came the psychiatric meds that were prescribed. And from there, it went even worse. With a lot of bad things really happened for her. And that it really includes excess weight gain. There is a lot of anger and self-harm that was caused. She had many different, countless emergency calls and physical illnesses, numerous of them that also included migraines and vertigo. And she had something that was even so bad to see, involuntary muscle movements that are called tardive dyskinesia and more. So, the oath of Hippocrates that we know that physicians promise that calls for first, do no harm. To me, it felt like the ultimate, hypocrisy in Western medicine. The oath of Hippocrates is a hypocrisy with medicine. And it's so sad to see. But today, there is real light. It's so good. There's true reversal of her diseases that are happening. After years of classical homeopathy with Deborah Olenev, amazing homeopath, Deborah Olenev. Everyone should know her. She's so beautiful, lovely lady. And, after many years working with her, we then applied improved nutrition for Maya. So there's really a few things that we did that made significant differences through the homeopathic treatment. And again, one is the nutrition, where we opened up pathways for her and sealed the gut better so that she can detox better. That was really critical, and I would strongly advise many people to think of that first while doing homeopathy to build the vital force. And then she was able to finally taper off and eliminate all her medications. And we only achieved this 2 years ago. So we tried 10 years ago, I remember 2016, to taper off and eliminate her meds, especially the psychiatric meds. And she was only taking 2 at that point, which was an SSRI, Lexapro, and an antipsychotic, which was Abilify. But we couldn't do it then. The withdrawal, even though we tapered off in a gradual way, very slowly, it backfired. There was too much going on that were toxins that were affecting her so badly. And we couldn't detox it. That was the mistake. But 2 years back, when we were having a better detox system for her, the tapering off and elimination happened really well. And in fact, if we'd have applied C's detox along with it, it could have been even easier. But we learned about C's afterwards. And so only 4 months after we stopped all medications, we started C's detox, C's therapy to detox, the exact vaccines and medications that she was taking. And we can see those symptoms that are being detoxed too. It's just amazing how it all worked well. Yeah. And with that, by the time I wrote the book, in August, she was recovering 85% of all her issues of the past. But there were still some major hurdles, especially going back to the roots of her disease. And I need to explain about these things a little bit, but 85% recovery was amazing. And that really made me feel it's time we need to let people know. We want to help others. They shouldn't be suffering these many years like we did. So that was really nice that we got to that point. But what is really exciting is that the last few months, more breakthroughs are happening. This is not even in the book yet, and we got to do something about this, but I need to share it here, and I'm happy to share it with you. That, since then, we did some targeted methylation support. So methylation, and I'll go into this a little, but methylation support to support the homeopathic treatment process, actually. It's more like a way to add fuel to the fire. If the homeopathic remedy is activating the vital force, the methylation that should be in the brain would add fire to it if you have good enough nutrients. But Maya lacked that, we came to know. And so we're now able to see deeper layers of toxins releasing from her brain, mainly from her brain. Yeah, which is really key for autism children, right? There's a lot of mental and emotional issues with autism children. So deeper layers of toxins releasing from the brain, bringing Maya to now, I would say 90% recovery. And she's more calm, more clear in her mind. She's problem solving a lot better. She's more joyful. She's more stimulating and excited in the world. And she is able to express her feelings so intuitively, insightfully. It's really nice. And she's also more productive than ever. She's able to do things, which was not so easy for her, with a lot of burden that she carried over the years. And things got worse for her. So it got even more stalling for her in the past. But she's turning around. And there's a lot of beauty in all this. Yeah. So from 3 decades of all the mistakes we made, the trials and errors, we learned that there's a faster way. And that inspired me to write the book. Yeah. I've actually I designed a formula. It's a repeatable formula others can use. Yeah. Which is a lot more amazing, like magical. I call it magic, actually, in the book too. It's a magic formula. And it can do wonders to accelerate the recovery for children with autism and those especially injured by vaccines and medications. But we need to be careful and do it in a nice sequential way, taking the right steps one at a time. But I would say that at this point, people can recover from autism, and children can recover from autism, and even adults like Maya can recover from autism about 3 to 6 times faster than the pace that Maya went through.
Wow.
And I can kind of spell out the years even. And when you talk to Deborah Olenev, she will even say she's turning children around now, like in the last 3 months, they're turning around. So when the vital force is strong and the child is still, young without much exposure to all the bad things that happens along the years with vaccines and medications, then the recovery can be much better. Yeah.
Incredible. You're going to make me teary because, I've read her story. I've read her story, but hearing you say that, like hearing you tell her story. And I mean, in just now, you haven't even really scratched the surface, because in the book, it is very raw, and you tell the real story of what that was like for you and what that was like for Maya. I mean, she even, she's aware enough that in the book you say, you're right, that she says, there was this one medication, like a Geodon or something like that. And she's like, why am I doing these things with my neck and these, because I think you said there was Tourette's as well. Like, why am I doing this with my neck? I didn't do this before, since before that medication. So even she is aware that what this is doing to her body. And you talk about, this medication, that medication, and how it's affected her. So the book is very raw and real, and I think that's important to note because nobody can ever know what it's like to be, the person with autism. And I really credit the podcast series Telepathy Tapes for helping me understand, so much more. But for you as a family, you and your wife and, your other daughter as well. And it's a lot for a family to go through. And the fact that you've kept on going and searching for answers is incredible. And the fact that you've worked with your homeopath for this many years. And, our clients are our biggest gifts. Like you, I'm sure, taught Deborah so much as well. Like, going both ways. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the fact that you stuck with
We
her.
debate about things too.
Exactly.
We have exciting debates about things.
The fact that you stuck with her, you would have taught her so much from this experience. And it does say, Deborah writes the foreword on there, but, she was like, okay, the tools that I'm using is not working. I need to go and find something else. And she says in there that she was a bit resistant to cease therapy, but, she was kind of forced to go and search for these other answers because what she was doing wasn't working. And I see that in my practice, sometimes I have clients and what I'm doing is not working. Then I have to go look outside the box and look for other answers. So it's incredible that, she considered cease therapy, not just that, but then also used these room doses and pillow doses. So I know we're going to have Deborah on hopefully next week on the, I mean, it'll be next week by the time this episode comes out. It'll be a few weeks from now, but our listeners will just say next week. And so she's going to tell us a little bit more about the homeopathic side of things and, what she's done and what she's learned from that. But yeah.
I think she will talk a lot about the classical homeopathy and how it's wonderful, beautifully how it can work for today's children, especially as she has more confidence now. A lot more research is done and more practice with a lot of children. She's been helping so many, even from the past, but more now. And my book has helped her connect with so many parents, which is so nice. So nice to see. But I wanted to comment on your point about tics and TD, the tardive, the geodon issue and the tardive dyskinesia, because in childhood, when she was a toddler, she was showing signs of tics, Tourette syndrome, just twitching of the face, small twitches, blinking of eyes. And, at that age, we would think, oh, nothing to worry about. It is common for children who are maybe a little bit timid or a little bit anxious. So she had those signs. But geodon triggered, and this is, just in Hawaii when she was prescribed that instead of Abilify, as we started to see Lexapro and Abilify were not helping at all. The psychiatrist here suggested, why don't we just go with geodon? And that's maybe a newer generation antipsychotic, and we don't know much either. So we said, okay, we want to get rid of all this. Let's just see, maybe we switch to something and we can find what happens. But geodon triggered her tardive dyskinesia, which is a vigorous movement of her neck and head and mouth to the degree that she can't even stop. It just randomly happens. She's trying to cross the road and it will happen and she can't see what's going on. It's the traffic that's crossing. So it was very dangerous for her. But this is a known problem from that medication. And there are lawsuits that the manufacturers lost, actually, with this medicine. There are even medicines today to address tardive dyskinesia, which is caused by other medicines. So ridiculous. They have to stop these advertisements. But I want to just say that with the medications, the suppression of disease happens more. And we get layers piled on top of each other. So her symptoms of the magnitude of problems got worse over the years, not from her natural self, but from medications. And we need to face this. And society has to face the facts that these medicines are very, very harmful. We will never, our family will never touch any of these medications. We don't trust the medical groups.
And even the Provera you mentioned as well, because Provera is something that very often is prescribed for women for PCOS with similar symptoms similar to, what Maya had. But, do you want to talk about Provera as well? Because that was profound in how it affected her.
Maya was diagnosed with PCOS. That was the polycystic ovarian cyst syndrome, which is essentially having cysts around her ovaries. So she couldn't induce periods. And it was all blocked. This was when she was 15, 14 years old. With an ultrasound scan, the gynecologist identified that she has PCOS. So she prescribed Provera, which is essentially an estrogen progesterone balancer medication to help the hormones balance so that she can help with her PCOS problem and then maybe later get to be able to have her periods. But after taking it for just 2 months, so it's in cycles of 2 months, just that time, right after that, she was showing severe OCD symptoms, which she never showed before. She had some things relating to being fixated on not wanting to wear a turtleneck sweater or not wanting to wear something that's not cotton. And those were maybe signs of OCD, but very mild forms. But this one was, she was in school. We got the call from her school that she continuously writes apostrophe S's after each word, and she writes dots around each letter, that she can't get out of doing that. And it's a fixation with fear that she has, it's a ritual she has to go through to keep moving forward. And it was really strange. So we did an MRI scan. Nothing was showing up as abnormal. The neurologist evaluated and said she has severe OCD. And it's known problem with autism children when taking some hormonal medicines that OCD gets worse. And specifically things like Provera.
So interesting.
Yeah. But they don't want to talk about that.
No, exactly.
And they can get away from murder. So that's so sad.
Vivek, how did you get in touch with, how did you decide to start using homeopathy? How did you find homeopathy?
Yeah. It came to a point where it was desperation, right? Desperation. Because nothing was working. We were trying different things, even therapy, etc. Natural remedies too. We were trying supplements and things. They weren't really working. So Ashmi, my daughter who's in Australia, she's in West Australia, like you are, down under, even down further than you.
Yeah.
She had a friend in high school who mentioned that his family goes and takes homeopathy. And he mentioned about the Queen of England and a lot of royal families are using homeopathy. So I looked into it. I didn't know anything about it. I looked into it and I was intrigued. Then I came across Amy Lansky's book, The Impossible Cure. So Amy is a good friend of mine. She's a good friend of mine now.
Yeah.
And she has inspired me with her story about Max and how he turned around. And I was very hopeful. So she introduced me to 2 homeopaths in the Bay Area where we were living. And I met the 2 of them, and we chose Deborah from our conversations. And that was the first encounter with Deborah. This was back in 2013, May. She did a full intake for Maya, and the book says it all. It says how she saw it first. And we were focusing on the PCOS mainly. So she did work on that. And with the first remedy, the PCOS was gone. In 2 months or 3 months, we did another ultrasound scan, and there were no more cysts. The gynecologist was just amazed. How did that happen? Yeah. And then I got more confident about it. And I did it for myself too. So I was also challenged. I had a lot of pressure at work, and I was losing confidence. So I went to Deborah, and she prescribed me my remedy, and I'm happy to say what it is.
That's amazing that you went...
Like a podium.
Like such a good remedy.
And it doesn't need to be that, but it is that for me at that time. So it really worked so well for me. Things started to turn around a lot for me, and I was so grateful to Deborah. So I had a lot of confidence. This is good stuff. And it does and I studied the science behind it, because I'm a computer science, technology guy. I'm an engineer. I care about how this stuff works.
I love it.
So I did my research. I'm from the Silicon Valley. So, for me, science is important. And I don't like what some other people think of, someone like Anthony Fauci. He's a quack. Anthony Fauci is a quack. He says, I am science. total garbage. But in any case, the science is amazing. It's just not so believable, but it's amazing when you think about all this potentized iterations of the medicine and how diluted it is, and that it works at the memory level in the water and all these beautiful things that it does. But we learned through that process also about some other innovations, and Deborah is very innovative. She's also from Silicon Valley, although she's not a technology person. She's a very classical, spiritual person. But she is innovating a lot. And the proximity dosing is just amazing. She has a newsletter post on it, or a blog post about a pocket dose, pillow dose, handheld dose, I guess, pocket pillow. Yeah. And essentially, there is energy emitting from the remedy from the vial itself of the remedy. And that transmits to the body's vital force, and it can stimulate it just the same as when you drink it. And this actually can happen at a proximity as far as maybe 6-7 feet away, 3 meters away, maybe 2-3 meters away. That is just amazing. Maybe even further, but I would say room dose can be done. What Maya had been doing ever since 2023, when she started SEAS therapy. 2024, April 2024, when she started the SEAS therapy, we switched to handheld doses for Maya. Maya has never drunken a remedy ever since.
Wow.
She's only doing through handheld dose, hand-holding the problem.
I mean, it makes so much sense because children with autism are so sensitive, and so they don't need to physically take. And when I read your book and heard about the room dosing, intuitively everything in me just went, yes, that makes so much sense, because the children that I've treated with autism, you give them, you need to kind of do cease therapy, or I do, Ton Janssen's approach, homeopathic detox therapy. You need to do that because you need to, sometimes the classical remedies will only take you so far. You need to give them that isopathic remedy. But whenever you do, they get crazy aggravations. And I've put it in water, stirred it, and just given a water dose. But even that will aggravate them massively. And you just know, the child regressed after they had that shot. And you need to give it to them to help the body heal. But you can't, because it aggravates them. And you get to this, spot where it can take years before you can actually get them through that series. So this is revolutionary, using room dosing and even handheld.
Yes, and parents who have been treating their children with homeopathic remedies have a lot of mixed impressions about what they can get out of it. And sometimes, this is where we have to understand about aggravations versus detox shock waves versus relapses, and versus, nothing's happening. Why isn't anything happening? And it's really difficult, but we're really good at understanding what is going on now. And we do real small adjustments to keep it going for Maya. There are some flares, there are some downers that happen for her, but we adjust and we can do things very quickly. And that is really important for sensitive children, and that can respond well, I would say.
I think it's amazing also because you've worked with the same homeopath for so long, and the fact that you get to know Maya better and better and better, and how she responds to remedies, and you can quicker, like you say, make adjustments if need be. It's really incredible that you've walked this journey together for so long. Yes. I would say even with what we're doing now with methylation, and I want to talk about this methylation because I have a big question also with your audience. It's a $6 million question, so please join along and help me explain this and help you understand what I'm trying to say here. So methylation is essentially what the brain does with taking methylated folate, methylfolate, and methyl B12, which are nutrients that are transferred to the brain after eating nutritious food, like vegetables. Folic acid is then converted to nutrients, folate and methylfolate. Methylfolate can pass through the
blood-brain barrier. And that way you get the methylfolate and the methyl B12 and all the nice vitamins in your brain to help produce the important micronutrients of the brain, which are serotonin, dopamine, and other glutathione, and other very important things it would do, such as help you detox and help you build up or regulate your DNA and genes. And so we learned after and this is thanks to Robert F. Kennedy. Do you know Robert F. Kennedy? He's the head of the Human Health Services
We
of
love
the
RFK,
country, USA. He's in the Trump administration. And Bobby Kennedy announced with President Trump on September 15th. This was after my book was published, about leucovorin. And leucovorin is a medicine, actually. It's a prescription drug. But it's a less harmful prescription drug, perhaps, although I won't trust it, unfortunately. But it can address something very important for children with autism that have a problem transporting methylfolate into the brain. And this transport issues is missing for many children. But there's another big group of children, about 50% of children, actually, not just autistic, but generally, that have some variant of folate. They call it MTHFR. It's a gene variant of the MTHF folate. Mm-hmm. And that variant is a little defective. Mm-hmm. What it means is that when it enters the brain, so it can enter the brain, but it doesn't help to produce enough serotonin, dopamine, and the nutrients that are needed in the brain, or help in the detox process. So the children who have this gene mutation will find it a little more difficult to balance their mood, be clear in the mind. The mind's more foggy, and they're unable to process as well. Okay? And this is a genetic issue, gene issue. No, that's what most people believe it to be. It is from birth. And it looks like Maya has this gene deficiency. So she has this MTHFR variant, and therefore she can't produce enough dopamine and serotonin. And in her very early years, before the vaccine, it could have been possible that she was a little slow, but not to any bad degree, because there was still the ability to generate it. However, when the vaccine started, it's adding like more scum to the gear. You're adding more sand to the gear and scum to the gear, that the gear to generate the dopamine and serotonin and all these nutrients gets even more retarded, slower. So there's even less dopamine and serotonin. And then the autism symptoms show up big time. So parents will say, my child regressed dramatically after the vaccine shot. And that happens a lot. Yeah, and it was even quite obvious for us when we were suspecting it, although our doctors will also always say, and this is back in 1990s, they'll say, oh, not to worry, it's just a little phase, the child will go through it, or maybe she has two languages in the house, so she's a little bit slower. But she was nonverbal originally. Yeah, nonverbal, she was not even cognitively processing well. She was behind in her kindergarten. She started needing tutoring from kindergarten. It's ridiculous, not normal. So the vaccines impacted it. So what we did after September, I learned about all this stuff, and I didn't want to take a chance with leucovorin because you have to do a thorough test to really find it, and the doctors don't want you to test it. So while the administration, the government here and then the White House administration is highly recommending it, the medical industry is shutting it off and saying, no, we're not going to test. The doctors are not prescribing this, saying, oh, that thing doesn't work, and all this kind of fear they're creating. So what happens is parents are stuck. And I read all this, looked at all what is going on, and we had a lot of dialogue in Facebook. There was a big groups of this talking, leucovorin for autism. That was the biggest group. It got shut down, censorship, all this nonsense going on. And then the fact of the matter came out. I came to know I'm going to just try the supplement, which is a natural, completely natural supplement, but it's an active form. So it will, and it's methylfolate and methyl B12 that will enter the blood-brain barrier, enter the brain very quickly from the bloodstream. So once you take it, in a matter of 1 hour, Maya notices differences.
Wow.
In the first day she took it, she felt, Dad, I feel more calm, clear, and she can talk now. So she's talking like this, and she's telling me, I feel more calm, clear. I can make better choices and all. And I'm saying, whoa, this thing works. And the good thing is, the sign of this is when you start, you can see progress immediately. And then you find maybe you're going to go into a detox wave or some kind of lapse that can make you feel like it's not going to work anymore. So what was good with Maya was her pathways were open and her detox capability was really good. That on day 14, taking this capsule every day, and she was taking 7.5 milligrams of L-methylfolate with 750 micrograms of methyl B12. That's in one capsule. It tends to be known as a higher dose because you can get a half that dose version of this capsule. So we started with the higher one. And she was already showing good progress. She hit a detox shock wave and it got her feeling really dull, irritable, and she was getting bitter saliva, bile reflux. So basically her bile was refluxing and she was spitting out the bitterness. And then I came to know that activated charcoal was enough to keep her relaxed a little bit, cutting off the capsule for a day or two, and then treating her with charcoal, activated charcoal, to hopefully cover up the bile. She recovered from that.
Wow.
So, and again, the body needs to be really good at doing that. It's not just the charcoal itself. You can't do it to any child and see it work well unless detoxing is set up well for the body. So she was able to recover from that. And then I thought we should just stop doing this. And then that backfired too, because she got then withdrawal symptoms showing up. And I came to learn that, the challenge with this is once you start it and it works, you can't really stop it. It's lifelong. And then I was saying, lifelong supplement, active supplement that's lifelong. I don't like that. It sounds like a psychiatric medicine. But things changed from there even. So the good thing is, thanks to the folate she was taking together with a remedy. And at that point in time, we're going to mention some remedies here, and it doesn't mean that everyone should take that remedy. This is strictly Maya's situation at that time. Maya was always getting head pain right on this upper right area. And it was flaring up and then subsiding at times, flaring up, subsiding. And it was through the C's detox, through all the taking away from the medications, she was getting this pain. We didn't know what it was. We were wondering, but she did have in the past, head pains, and she took bupivacaine anesthesia shots, this nerve numbing shots, injection shots in her head. That was detoxing too. So we would think, okay, this is relating to the detox. But what was going on with the with the methylfolate supplement and the remedy she took, conium. So Deborah prescribed conium. Conium can be used for tumors, for cancer. I think you guys all know this, but conium, because she showed up like more of having some kind of a tumor, because there was some things swelling up. To the point that it seems like it wants to ooze out or discharge. Conium with the folate accelerated that process. And actually, literally, she got discharges happening from her head. That was the toxins from many years of bad stuff in her brain, not only just in the head, inside the brain that is oozing out of her. And she felt clearer and clearer, even better after the discharges too. So this just happened, when we started it October, now I think December, we started to see these things happen. And it came to a point we reached maybe the limits to conium. And Deborah, we started to see, okay, what else is Maya showing? And her core problems are still there, which are the OCD that she got, but not to a higher degree. It's a much more manageable degree, but she has OCD that bothers her life. And she has anxiety, and she doesn't have as much brain fog, but she has sometimes difficulty to process, and she has hormonal challenges too sometimes. We don't know if this is all part of the remedy doing things, but what we can say is that her fears with OCD is relating to fears, some really unnecessary fears she has, and sometimes she's hallucinating, imagining things that are really not there, right? These type of fears are what Deborah identified as stramonium to be the next one to take. So she's taking stramonium now with the folate. And some very interesting things are happening to her in this stage. So we really are getting into the mental plane now and the emotional plane, and the fuel added to the fire, which is the folate, is really doing so well in this combination. So there's a synergy between, I believe, especially for autism children, there's a synergy between the right folate you do based on what your symptom, your diagnosis is, and the homeopathic treatment. Because the homeopathic treatment is the actual killer. It's the actual fighter of the disease, activating the vital force to do things. But the fuel added to that fire is the folate, which can accelerate the process, I would say.
So what's the $6 million question?
Yeah, the $6 million question, now that we understand this, I hope, is, do you see really a synergy between an active form of a supplement and homeopathic remedies? That's the first $6 million question. Yeah. And the second $6 million question is, can we get rid of that folate supplement altogether?
You can use it in homeopathic potency. So I actually use something in my clinic called Oligoscan.
Yes.
I don't know, have you heard of Oligoscan? I'll send you, Oligoscan. I'll send you the podcast episodes I've done on it. So actually, you use a photospectrometer, and it measures, I mean, you would probably be all over this type of stuff. The guy who developed it in the early 1900s won a Nobel Prize for the discovery, the scientific discovery of it. And you just scan the palm of the hand, and it uses the light emitted from the photons. Like I can never describe exactly how it works, but it feeds it back. And then the software called Oligoscan tells you what your heavy metals, minerals, and vitamins are. And I personally think it's better than hair mineral analysis, because hair mineral analysis tells you what happened in the body 3 months earlier, whereas Oligoscan's telling you what's stored in the tissues right now. So I use it, and I can tell on there if somebody's B9, so their folate is low. And then I do use supplementations or sometimes homeopathic vitamins in low potency, which is a bit what Ton Janssen does Ton Janssen in his book Fighting Fire with Fire, and what he calls HDT, or homeopathic detox therapy. He uses that. So, but I was also thinking leucovorin. I mean, you could use that drug and then make it into like say a 6C or even a 6X homeopathic potency. And then you're going to be negating all of the side effects of the medication. And I did this about a year ago with an antibiotic. There was Mycoplasma pneumonia going around, and the antibiotic at the time that was helping people, I managed to get hold of it, and I made it into a 3X homeopathic remedy, and then people were using that instead of having to use the antibiotics. So I think that we could probably do a similar thing with leucovorin. You can definitely do that with the supplement. Now, I actually do use a methyl B9 supplement for my clients and for my son. So his B9 is very low. He's never been vaccinated, but I am convinced that if I vaccinated him, he would have had autism, because he is. I think that he has MTHFR, and he's not a good methylator. And because I see it on his Oligoscan every time, and I have to constantly work to get it up. So they do say about 50% of the population have this, and they're often people that have issues detoxing, like mycotoxins or mold or pesticides or vaccines or all of these sorts of things. So yeah, I'm so glad that you're adding this methylation component as well. And like you said, you should
But
never.
I wanted to comment there what
Mm,
you're saying. So Deborah is suggesting let's go with the potentized version
yeah.
of the folate supplement.
Mm,
And we were going to go there starting January, but here's where we are, and this is where the question comes, which is Maya's current supplement, the amount she needs is 1/3 a day, not the whole capsule. She just needs to, in fact, the whole capsule is giving her an overdose. It's just too much. So she's already maybe able to generate more methylfolate because of the toxins that are coming out of her brain, and hence she needs less of it. The question, though, is would she ever get rid of it all in its entirety? Not take it at all, or we do the
you're going to have to
potentized
tell us
version.
that in part 2 of the book that you're going to have to
Yeah,
write.
exactly.
No, well,
I don't know.
that's the question with a lot of these types of things, which,
Yes.
genetically, if you have, if you have MTHFR, is it something that you can completely cure? And look, it wouldn't surprise me if over, and it might be 10 years, it might be 20 years down the track, who knows?
Yeah.
But this is the beauty of homeopathy is we see miracles on a daily basis. And it honestly wouldn't surprise me if you tell me in 10 years time from now that, her methylation issues have improved. You've done another genetic test and actually she doesn't have MTHFR anymore. That honestly wouldn't surprise me because that's the type of stuff that we see with homeopathy. It's just,
Yes.
it will just take time, but it wouldn't surprise me
Yes.
if that's possible. I'm not saying it
Yeah,
is. I'm just saying it
some
wouldn't
homeopaths will
surprise me.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
some homeopaths say that gene issues, genetic issues can be treated
Well,
and
I have a
reversed.
picture on my
Oh,
Instagram of a girl
mhm.
who has Noonan syndrome, which is a genetic disorder. And these children, they just don't grow. They're very, very tiny. And they often have to go on growth hormones from a young age. Now, when I treated her, I said, I'm not sure if I can do anything for the Noonan or help your child grow because it's genetic disorder. Now, we
Yeah,
have a before and after photo with 18 months between them of treating this girl, and she shot up to within 18 months to any other normal child her age. You look at the before photo, she looks, I don't know, like maybe 5 years old, even though she was like 12 at the time.
right.
Look at the photo
Yeah,
18 months later, and she looks like a, normal, like 13, 14-year old. Like I would
yeah.
not have thought that that was possible. So that's why
Oh,
I'm
yes.
saying homeopathy. Yeah, homeopathy blows
Yeah,
my mind. And we've got like the
yeah.
photographic evidence on those photos of the before and after between 18 months. I'm just so grateful the
Wow.
mum took a photo because you can't make that up. So,
This happens with autistic children too, and this is where I want to give hope to the parents who are listening in, that all the nonverbal children who have a hard time processing today, it's in them. Everything normal is in them. When they can pare away these diseases, the verbal language comes back beautifully, amazingly, and you will be so amazed how insightful they are. And so we can get really good reversals, true cure happening. And that's something I want to give hope to parents, because parents are really, really sad with
mm,
what's going on with their child. And I don't think they should keep fighting and finding ways to help their
mm,
children, not
yeah.
give up. Yeah.
And it's not just seeing the child in that pain, but also the hopes and dreams that you had for that child, like it's so big. But
Yeah.
I'm particularly hopeful because Maya is an adult, because sometimes, people won't find homeopathy until, the child is already an adult. And, the saying goes that it's just so much harder once they've hit puberty to then, reverse some of
Right.
those symptoms afterwards. So to hear Maya's incredible story of how she is recovering, even though she is an adult, is really
Yeah.
incredible. And
Yes.
I know that she's listening probably to our conversation, hearing a conversation, because after listening to telepathy tapes, we know that these children with autism, they are telepathic and they can read our minds and our thoughts. So I know that even though she's not in the room, she's listening on this conversation and she's probably,
Yes.
giving us her input as well. So I just want to really acknowledge her and thank her for sharing this story of hope, because this
Mhm.
is going to help so many people around the world. And I'm just thinking of particularly a client of mine who, the child, it's a male, he's almost 30, and, it's been really hard and so
Yeah.
many
So
aggravations. We're trying
let's talk about timing and how
mm,
fast this can happen. So from what I'm understanding now If we were, firstly, here's Maya's story, really unfortunate for her. But if we had known about the folate issue when she was 2 years old, we won't be where we are today, for sure. And if we had known that there was a way, like a supplement, just to help her, assist her, we won't be where we are today. Yeah. We started homeopathy when she was 21 or so. Yes. And it took us 12 years with Deborah to where we are now. But if we had known about the nutrition needs for her, really important, she wasn't actually even having anything bad in her diet. She's eating well. Only things that blocked her was she has lactose intolerance, and she loves ice cream. So she takes a lot of ice cream, which also upsets her stomach, but she likes it. And she used to drink this boba tea in teenage years, and that's also really bad. A lot of sugar, and these bobas actually flare up in your stomach, so it's even worse stuff in there. But when she stopped those and she took lactose-free yogurt with seeds, the seeds are very important for the seed cycling, for hormonal balance.
I read about that in your book for the first time. I cannot believe I didn't know about that.
Yeah, for hormones, for women and for men. Boys can do the same thing.
How would they really cycle? So you're describing here how to cycle. Well, maybe people can just go Google seed cycling, but I had never heard about it until this book. It's great. Such a good idea.
Seed cycling is very good. And for hormones, for the gut, as well as with seeds, you have omega-3 and you have other things that are good for cognitive abilities. So it's a real nice thing to take. And she takes ginger tea. She doesn't drink soda. She never drunk soda. She never takes alcohol. She doesn't smoke. None of that. She's really clean in many regards. But little things that are impacting her, when we cleaned that up, her detox ability is really good now.
Wow.
That's important. And so we were talking about years. Many children, I think, can be recovering from autism, especially if they're early, right? In their very early ages, within a year maybe. But I would even say like maybe 2 years max, they can turn around. And for some who are older, 30-year-olds, Maya's age, 20-year-olds, and if you had so many medications on top of vaccines that have suppressed your body and caused a lot of toxins, it may just take a little longer, but I wouldn't say more than 5-6 years for complete recovery. So it's really important that people do that. We took 12 years. I would say, that's double the time at most, maybe half or less. Maya's actually turning around since we started the nutrition and the C's with the homeopathy, and that was just 2024.
Wow.
And in 1 year, I'm already writing the book and saying, this is amazing. It's really happening. It's really working for me. Yeah.
It's worth, what's the alternative? Like giving up, flying back and going, oh, well, this is our life. I mean, this is our children. They inspire us and push us beyond anything that we ever thought possible, in good ways and bad. But how incredible that they chose to come into this lifetime with us and teach us these unbelievable lessons. Can you please, Vivek, tell people where they can purchase your book? I have to say, it was really quick and easy. Like, it was so easy for me to order. It got here within a couple of days, and got to have a read of it. It's so the ordering was super easy for me. But maybe just tell our listeners, tell them about Maya's charity and everything else as well, because go for it.
All right. So the book is available on Amazon worldwide. So your local Amazon site, you can find Healing Her Light. It's worldwide available. Australia also, we've been seeing tons of our sales there. It's really nice. And I get a lot of calls from parents from Australia too. So that's nice. Amazon. And just search for the title with my name and you will find it. And for those who read the book, please write reviews. I'm not seeing, we have only like 6 reviews that are 5 stars, which is really nice, but it's just 6. And
I'll go write my review after this. I'll make sure I do.
Thank you. I haven't been telling people, but I really appreciate the reviews because people need to know.
It's
This book
important to
is like,
remind people
wow.
too, like even if it's about like liking or sharing a post, like it's good to remind people because it's not necessarily always the first thing you think of. So yes, please do go write the reviews. They do make a difference.
Yes. And all proceeds of the book go to a nonprofit entity I created called Support Maya. Support Maya Fund is essentially a fund to help people, parents, and families who have autism children or children who are injured by vaccines and medications to get uninsured healthcare costs covered as best we can. So we've noticed, in the US, I know even in Australia, homeopathy there's no private healthcare rebates for homeopathy anymore since 2019 or
Yeah,
something.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. While in Germany, it's mainstream. India, France, UK, it's mainstream medicine. Germany, they cover it in insurance too. But in the US, it's not insured as well. So there's a lot of cost associated, and it's not that the homeopathic fees are high. I don't think. I think it's very reasonable, but you'll have to pay out of pocket. So we're trying to help people cover their treatment costs, not just homeopathy, but anything else for helping the child, whether it's even yoga or supplements or living costs if they are disabled by all this injury. And so we have this fund, and we're getting funds and people to support it, and that's really nice. The sales of the book all go to that.
Wow.
So
Where can people, because people can donate as well. What's the website for that?
yeah, there is a Give Butter site. So givebutter.com. Give Butter is like a GoFundMe, but it's the more legitimate one or the more ethically correct one, I would say.
Yeah.
So givebutter.com/support Maya. That is the site. And then I have a website I created, supportmaya.org, O-R-G, that has everything about Maya's book, the story, the podcasts that I join, and my blog posts to give updates about Maya's progress, as well as anything I find that are very useful for the parents and community to learn about and read up on. I have it all at my site. So please go to supportmaya.org. You can even get to my support mission, the mission that's supporting Maya, the Support Maya mission. And also the book is summarized there. So that's all good there. And then I'm also communicating more on Facebook. I never used Facebook. I never liked it. But the autism parents are on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't see them elsewhere. So I'm so happy when I post things, I get so many responses. I think I'm interacting with literally thousands of parents right now. It keeps me busy, and it's so nice to hear from them, but really sad to hear their stories too. It's really a crime what's going on. We must fix that. So my book, it has the part 1 is a chronicles Maya's story, and it talks about the magic formula, and that's all really nice. But part 2, I'm trying to focus on making calls for transparency on the harms caused by medication, conventional medicine, and having more accountability and justice to protect the people who have been injured more. Yeah. This is really important. Yeah. I also talk about the science behind the therapies we used, including homeopathy, the proximity dosing that Deborah has innovated, cease therapy. I explain the science and where there is peer-reviewed, evidence-based science that can confidently explain that this method works. I talk about that there. And I also have a little section to guide parents, first-timers with homeopathy. So I have this quick guide for them to go to when they have acute conditions. They need to just get some concept about what can they use. I'm not selling any remedies or anything, but I think it works really well. And with the proximity or handheld pocket dose, you just have an easy time treating yourself. It really works. It works.
You're talking here about treating your dog, Chip, or Maya's dog, Chippy, as well with the remedies. I like that.
Yes, I have a whole chapter about pet pet treatments too.
Yeah.
And Chippy is totally a homeopathic.
He's actually that photo you've got up at the moment on the thing behind you with
Yes,
the cycling through. But like,
that's
has
Chippy.
Chippy's smile is just the best. So
He's
cute.
big. He's big and wide, and he's a
Oh,
little one, but he's
oh,
he's he's feisty, and
oh,
he's a Chihuahua in
oh.
many regards, but and a Jack Russell. But
Mm.
he is very energetic, full of energy. He's really healthy,
Oh.
really good. And never had any problems. And he's done homeopathic prophylaxis basically.
Yeah,
So
I've done that with my animals as
he's doing
well.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works. And actually, the remedies we get is from Australia.
Oh,
Because
cool.
we don't have anyone here who gives a vet home. Oh, they are, but I've met the one in Australia first, so I get
Oh,
it from there.
amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, Vivek, thank you so much for sharing Maya's story. And Maya, I know you're listening. Thank you so much for letting us share your story with the world. Really appreciate it. I think Maya from memory means something like goddess or mother. It's like a mother energy, hey, because I we were fostering
yeah,
some cats a little while ago, and this cat was
yeah,
such a good mother. And we said, well, let's Google some names that's mother. And Maya was one of the names. So that's
yes.
why I know this. So we named the cat Maya actually because she was
Yeah.
such a good mother. That's so, and
Well,
Maya,
Maya has she's Indian by my origin
mhm.
and Japanese. Her mom is Japanese,
Mhm.
so we tried to come up with a name that can easily be pronounced, and
Ah,
even in the U.S. And we have a meaning in Japanese too, and
ah,
it's actually using the kanji characters. It's truth and an arrow, meaning aim for the truth. So you
ah,
basically aim for the truth. And it's so much it's so much about her.
yeah.
She wants the truth to be out there about what works and what doesn't work and what never to touch.
Mm.
That's what she told me one day, and it
Wow.
really hit me.
That's the
Yeah.
thing with these children with autism. They are so wise because, like Kay in her, telepathy tapes podcast talks about that all the time. They have access to all the knowledge in the universe. They can access all of it, and they're so wise. And if we just
Yeah.
listen to them and take the time to, yeah, take the time to listen to them, they have a lot to teach us for sure. Thank you so much, Vivek. And so for people wanting to visit Support Maya, it's maya.com. And you've got the Give Butters, and there's also the Amazon book. Everything is going to be linked in the podcast show notes. So if anyone has trouble finding it, just go into the podcast show notes. It will be in there.
Yes. And your people in your community, if they'd like to reach out to me, please feel free to. I'm on Facebook. Maybe that's the easiest way, or any other way you may have a way. If they can connect with me, I'm happy to connect. I've
Amazing.
been around and available for everyone.
Wow. Wow. Do you have an email address through your website as well? So if they go to supportmaya.com,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
and
At
then people
Support
can find
Maya,
you
we
through
have an
there.
email.
Okay,
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank
Even
you
I
so
contact and
much.
just enter. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Really
you so
appreciate your
much.
time. All the best.
Yeah,
Bye.
really was a joyful time.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much. Have a good day.
You too.